Hey everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about gears. When you are learning to drive a manual car, it is very important to understand how the gears work. So this is the gear selector, and I will start off this video by showing you each of the gears of this manual car. Now the location of each of the gears will differ from one car to the next, but I will show you the location of each of the gears on this car. This is first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear, and reverse gear. Okay, and once again, those are the locations of the gears on this car, but the locations of each of the gears might be different on different cars. When you can wiggle the gear selector just like this, that means that you are in neutral. Now basically, I'll explain the relationship between the gears. A low gear, like first gear, means that you have the most power. So the lowest gear means that you have the most power, but it has the lowest potential for speed. The highest gear, which would be sixth gear, means that you have the least amount of power, but you have the highest potential for speed. So basically, there is an inverse relationship between power and potential for speed with regards to the gears being relative to each other. Once again, a low gear, like first gear, will give you the most power, but the lowest potential for speed. So it will allow you to go the slowest out of all of these gears with regards to kilometers per hour. The highest gear, which is sixth gear on this car, will give you the least amount of horsepower and the least amount of torque. So the least amount of power, but it will also give you the highest potential for speed with regards to kilometers per hour or miles per hour. Okay, so that is the relationship between the gears, and that is basically how it works. Obviously, reverse will cause you to go backwards instead of forwards, okay? And neutral, when you have the gear selector neutral, that will cause the car to not move even when you are revving the engine, okay? Yeah, that's basically the best way and the easiest way to explain neutral, that it will cause the car to not move even when you are revving the engine. But that's basically it. That is how the gears work. Now I will go through a few different examples of the gears on the car. So for instance, if you were going to use first gear, you would use first gear when you're starting to move the car, simply because you will need the most amount of power to get the car moving from a standstill, but you don't need first gear to take you to a very high speed. When you are driving down the road, you might be in third or even fourth gear because you don't really need that much power, but you also don't need a ton of speed. If you are on the highway, you would use fifth gear or sixth gear, because you really don't need a lot of power at all. You really need the least amount of power when you are simply cruising on the highway, but you need the maximum amount of potential speed, for the car. And if, let's say you were in fourth gear and you wanted to pass a car, so you needed more power, then you could simply downshift to go to third gear, and that would give you more power. The same thing, if you were in fifth gear and you needed to pass a car, you could downshift to fourth gear, and that would give you more power, which would give you more passing power and give you the ability to pass a car. Let's say that you were starting off driving. You were starting off in first gear, you got the car moving, and you wanted to continue going faster with regards to your car's speed, with regards to kilometers per hour. You would then shift into second gear. That would basically reduce the amount of power that you had, but it would increase the amount of speed that you could reach. It would increase your maximum speed with regards to kilometers per hour. And that's basically it. In this video, I just wanted to talk to you about the various gears of a manual car. And once again, it is very important to understand how the gears work when you are learning to drive a manual car. I have shown you the locations of the gears on this car. I have talked to you about the relationship between power and maximum potential speed with regards to each gear. And I have also given you a few examples of when you would use each specific gear. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.